Hi guys, Ellen here, long time no see. I hope you are doing well. I hear that things are going great and that you are really impressing everyone. So I'm very happy to hear that. The reason I'm back is that, as you might have noticed, things have been changing a bit in terms of what you were doing before Christmas. And that is because moving forward, or last semester, you kind of figured out how to do self leadership and leadership towards others, but you basically kept it in quite safe environments and a very strict framework. And I guess you all know that that's not really the best way to learn stuff. To learn, you really have to try and you have to fail and you have to try again and then get up and try even harder. So that is what we're doing this semester, and I think we might be pushing some boundaries in terms of what a program should be, what it will look like, and how it's designed. But that is a part of what we're doing with future leaders. So I guess I'm just going to say good luck and let's improve and work on it together. So, what I really want to talk about today is two things. The first being the UN SDGs, and the other being the fourth industrial revolution. And the reason I want to talk to you about these two things is that now you are starting to get quite familiar with yourself, your relations to others, etc. And then there's quite another important factor here, and that is the context in which we people work and live and act together. And that is the world. And two of the most important things that is happening in the world right now is the SDGs and it is the fourth industrial revolution. So hopefully this can give you some background in terms of the project you're making. You don't have to use any of this, but it might be helpful to set some guidelines and give some common language that basically the entire world can connect to. So let's start with the UN SDGs. And to start very basic, the UN SDGs was basically the United Nations coming together in 2015 in September and saying that there are a lot of global challenges that we have to face together because these are so big that we can't really solve them if we do not have the governments involved, every citizen involved, companies, organizations, etc., etc., etc. So what they did was really to define 17 common goals that somehow really collects all the global challenges that we're facing today. And these include education, it includes good health, it includes the climate changes, and I really encourage every one of you to go check it out as a part of your research for this project. And there you can find that these goals might be a bit overwhelming and quite complex. So an important thing to keep in mind is that you don't need to solve this alone, and you decide which level you want to have your project on. So it could either be a big project that is, let's say, revolutionize the education system, which is what we're trying to do with future leaders, for instance, or you could say that, okay, so I want to work on global climate change, but I want to do quite a small project, so maybe I can just stop using using plastic bags at the grocery store and instead bringing my own grocery net when I go shopping. So that is the different stages you can put your project on. And one of the things that has been really important to me personally the last years is that when working on these goals, Ban Ki-moon said one very important thing, and that is that we don't have a plan B because we don't have a planet B. And for me, that really explains the seriousness of the situation. And as all of you really are people that are engaged, and because you're in Future Leaders, I hope and I guess that you are one of the ones that are willing to push a bit extra and that wants to help things move in the right direction. So what's really important is that no matter the size you take on your project, do something good. I'm not sure if you remember, but way back in October when you committed to the program, one of the things we asked you was, are you committed to using what you learn in Future Leaders to do good to others? And as you are all here, I guess you all said yes. And that could be one friend, it could be one family member, or it could be millions of people. And that is basically up to you guys. So I'm really excited to see what you decide and choose. So the second thing that I want to talk about is the fourth industrial revolution. And some of you have maybe heard of this. And very easily explained, it is what we are moving into right now, and we are actually standing in the middle of it, even though it is a bit hard to see, which is also a very common trademark with revolutions, because when you're in it, things are moving so fast that you can't really necessarily see the changes, because the policies that the governments make, etc., they're not developing as fast. But so to get back to the point, the fourth industrial revolution is basically where we as human beings challenge our cognitive abilities. So that means using 3D printers and artificial intelligence, etc. And if you look at society today, many think that these are challenges that haven't necessarily gotten too far. But if you look at the actual research, and hit me up if you want to talk more about this, I find this very interesting. But if you look at the specific research in it, we are actually at a point today where, for instance, artificial intelligence is better to diagnose a patient than a doctor in many cases. And we are at a point in time where we can 3D print new tissues for our hearts instead of doing surgeries. So there's extremely many things that are moving very, very fast. And what we call this growth is something that is exponential growth. So what is exponential growth? Well, it's the definition of how fast things are moving now. And to give you a perspective on this, if I were to say to go 30 linear steps, so 30 normal steps from where you are, I would probably, well, I don't know the location, but I would probably end up somewhere out on the street, right? If I instead were to go 30 exponential steps, I would go, any guesses? Scream out. Okay, so I can't see you live, but I'm guessing that no one knew the answer. And if you did, cool. But I can go 26 times around the globe with those 30 exponential steps. And that is actually the rate in which technology now is developing. So things are moving extremely fast. So this really means that we need very, very flexible and dynamic structures to be able to really create something that will be relevant tomorrow. So those are kind of like two important tools to be aware of, and both of these are quite commonly researched, and there's a lot of information out there, and I trust you to be able to Google your way to whatever information you want to know. Also, hit me up if I can help in any way, or talk to anyone on the Future Leaders team to give you the insight and information you need. We are also very happy to connect you to our network if there might be any interesting people there. So let's go back to the project. The plan now is really, it can seem quite complex, but it really is quite easy. So there's two questions that is relevant here. If you were to choose how to use this time you have, what do you want to do, and is it good for the world? And if you know the answers to those two questions, that seems like a good thing to do. And the very the easiest way for us to design this leadership program, and the most normal way for us to do it, would by far be to say, okay, let's design a program that is totally set and that has no flexibility. The thing is that we want you guys to become the best versions of yourself that you can be, and the best and coolest leaders that you can be. So, in order to do that, you need to challenge what we are setting up as a framework in order to do what you feel is right. And we have a plan in the background, so don't freak out too much. We are able to help. But take some serious rounds with yourself and think about who are you, what is important to you in your leadership, and how can you use this next month to move even further, both personally as a leader and in changing the world. So I hope you enjoy this next part of the program. I really look forward to see your projects. And I guess the last part for me is to really wish you the best of luck, have fun, and do good. Ciao guys, have a fun weekend.